Good morning. Welcome to the Friday writing tutorial. This one will be a little bit different, but I think you'll still enjoy it. So if you don't know, my name is Stacy Carroll, Food and Fiction Writing, and we're going to talk about bringing the joy back to fiction writing. Sometimes as authors and writers, we can lose our joy. We can find writing tedious or unproductive, and especially if you've ever stared at a blank page and thought, why am I even doing this? Well, you're not alone. Today we're going to dive into one of the most important but overlooked questions a writer can ask themselves. Why do you write? So let's talk about the power of your why. Okay, you started writing for a reason. Maybe it was love of stories, a way to make sense of the world, a way to process the world in your own mind, or an outlet for your overactive imagination. Hey, and if you're an author, having an overactive imagination is a good thing. Don't let those teachers tell you anything different. So the reason is that you have a creative core. And when writing feels hard, coming back to it can help more than any other productivity tip. Here's the thing. When you love what you do, it becomes a part of you. And sometimes not writing can be the reason you hate writing. I know it doesn't make sense, but if you think about it, it really does. So let's think about this. Writing isn't just about a word count. It's about meaning. When you write from a place of connection to yourself, your curiosity, your emotions, and all of that, well, it feels alive. It makes you feel alive. Don't you feel great when you're creating a world and throwing these characters into that world, and you get to watch those characters react like something comes up and you go, oh my God, ah! It's great. It's great. And that's what makes it fun. And that's why we're doing this. We want you to rediscover the joy in writing if you've lost your joy. And the reason that many writers lose their joy is because they get caught up in the expectations, the perfectionism, the publishing goals, the deadlines. When you start focusing on that kind of stuff, you can really lose your connection to why you started to write. And are those things important? Yes, of course. But you have to always remember why you write. So the first step to writing with more joy is remembering what lit the fire in your creative mind in the first place. If you've ever watched the movie, depending on where you're at or what channel that you're watching, it's either called Ballerina or Leap. And one of the questions that is asked of the ballerinas, kind of throughout the movie, but definitely towards the end, is, why do you dance? This is the same thing. Why do you write? Why do you write? So, reflect with me. Let's pause and do a quick reflection together. Ask yourself, why did I start writing? What did I love about storytelling when I first began? And when did writing feel the most fun or freeing in your life? I'll tell you why I started writing. So I was about 10. And by that age, I had kind of had it with the Disney movies. Every single movie had a happy ending. Every single one of them. And the bad guy never won. Happy ending plus bad guy never won. I was so sick of it by the time I was 10. So I started writing because I wanted a story where the bad guy won. And it wasn't necessarily a happy ending. And that's why I started writing. And I still do books like that. I usually gravitate towards the bad character because they're more interesting. Who wants a just writing about do-gooders and stuff like that? It just doesn't interest me at all. I don't even like reading about them. Unless your police chief is flawed dreadfully. I mean, you got some serious skeletons in the closet. I'm probably not interested. The same goes for any book. And part of that is also they tell you that in some writing tutorials and stuff like that you have to make your characters flawed. And I'm telling you, if your goody two shoes isn't really, really flawed, I'm really, really not interested. But that's just me. You could feel totally different about that. But it's part of the reason why I write. That's why I'm telling you about it. So, why you write, why you started writing, it doesn't have to be a long explanation. It doesn't have to be as long as my explanation. It can be 1 or 2 words. But go ahead, and if you haven't already written it down, write it down. I'll wait. All right, so whatever it was, whatever you just wrote down, you don't have to re-earn that reason, but you have to remember it. Remember it and feel it. Feel it in your mind. Feel it in your soul. Feel it in your heart. Okay? Feel your reason. Common whys, and why do they matter? Here are some common reasons writers give for why they started. And each one of these reasons is completely valid. No matter what your reason is, give yourself permission to let it be valid. Okay? So, common reasons. One writer might say, I wrote to escape. Their life was so bad they wrote fiction to escape it. Well, you know what? Fiction is a safe haven. And in some ways, that's kind of why I started writing too. There was chaos and noise out here, but it's quiet in my mind. I used to put on my headphones, and I happen to have a set right here. I used to put on my headphones like this, and I would get my pen and my paper, and sometimes the notebook was only this big, and I would start writing. So with the music in my ears and my mind focused on this paper, I was free of all this chaos going on around me. All the chaos, all the noise, it was gone. By the way, that irritated my parents to no end. You're not participating. You're not being part of the family. Well, buddy, if the family was a little better organized and a little quieter, I'd be there. I don't like loud noises or chaos. I can't stand it. But, that's one of my personal pet peeves. You have yours too. And you know what? Wouldn't that make a great character flaw? Like writing about a character that can't stand noise or chaos, but the only job they can find is has noise and chaos. That would be a great plot. How do they handle it? Or do they? Or does the job just drive them crazy? What an interesting idea. See, you can turn anything into a plot. Anything into a plot, anything into a story. So another author says, I love creating new worlds. That's imaginative joy in motion. And we just did an article on Joy's world building, didn't we? That was, I'll have to look. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find my website. There we go. Yeah, the joys of world building in fiction writing. We just did this on May 9th. We just did this on May 9th. So that article is on the website, and you can go review it. We may even do, like this is going to be a 5-part series. We might do a 5-part series on the joys of world building. If that's something that interests you, it kind of sounds good to me. So another author said, I wanted to see someone like me in a story. So this one's all about representation. What if you're just different? You just think differently. You look differently. Um, you walk differently. You act differently. But have you ever seen anybody, what if there's no representation for you? Well, you can write for that reason. You can bring yourself into a story and represent yourself. It's fine to do that. And lastly, the last author here on the list, I had something to say and no one else was saying it. That's called courage, folks. And that can also be part of your author voice, right? You want to say something that everyone else is too scared to talk about. Might make a good book. Might make a good nonfiction book. Might make a good self-help book. Think about that. Your experiences and how you survived them. You could write that as a self-help book. Isn't that interesting? And here's the deal. Whatever your reason, hold it close. Write it down. Put a sticky note all over your office or your desk or your refrigerator if you need to. Because when you know your why, you are more likely to keep going when the going gets tough, right? Life is not always perfect. Life is hard. And you might be struggling right now. In fact, that's the other half of the channel. How to eat and survive and still enjoy your passions, like reading and writing. That's what we're about. How you can survive. So part of this channel is practical. The other part is freeing your mind. You want to survive, but you don't want to get so caught up in reality that you lose yourself, or you forget your joy entirely, right? You still have to relax. You still have to unwind. When you lose the joy, let's talk about when you lose the joy. If writing has started to feel heavy or like a chore, that doesn't mean that you're broken. It doesn't mean that you forgot how to write. It doesn't mean that you can't pick it back up at any moment. And sometimes, let's say it feels heavy, it feels like a chore. But you know what? It can also mean that you care about what you're doing. Maybe you're growing as an author and you're expanding and you're bringing these new ideas and new things that you've learned. You're bringing them into your fiction and maybe you're just overwhelmed. You know what? It's okay to take a step back and try and process all that stuff that you've learned, all that stuff that you care about, all that stuff you want to do. It's okay to sit back and process that and then come back to writing a few days later or a few weeks later. It's okay. So, but if you want to get back into it right now, and that's probably why you're watching the video, you want to get back into writing right now. You want to do something right now. You've got your pen, you've got your little paper, you want to go right now. Okay, let's go right now. Try this. Write a letter to your younger self. What advice would you give your younger self? What problems did your younger self have? Write a letter to yourself telling yourself how to deal with those problems at that time. It can be very cathartic to do something like that. And if that's not your thing, you know what? You can free write a list of all the things you love about your stories. What do you love about your stories? What do you love about your stories? That one's even difficult for me to answer. What do I love about my stories? I love the fact the vast majority of them remove you completely from reality. They remove you completely from reality. I've got some very adult stuff that those things would never happen. I don't think. Who knows? I haven't been to a fetish club, so some of you guys, if you have, you'd be like, Stacy, man, they've done it. They've done it. I've seen it. Holy cow. But or the tiny bitey vampire. I like that one because it's adventurous. It's about family. They go on adventures. There's a little bit of technology. It's really the whole package in that book. And then, of course, you've got the little bitey vampire. She'll bite you, but she loves that blanket. Right? And maybe she'll bite you because of the blanket. But, there's a lot to, I love a lot about my books. I love writing them. I love creating new scenarios, But anyway, last one. Try writing something ridiculous and fun just for you. Write something totally off the wall. Totally off the wall. Like whatever random thought pops into your head, just write that down and then run with it. Run with it. So, all right. That should get you started right now. And here's the deal. Joy isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Just the satisfaction of being in your own mind, on your own page, that should bring you joy. So I want to open an invitation for you. Here is your invitation to write. Take 10 minutes today and write about why you write. No one has to see it. This exercise is just designed to reconnect you with your creative truth. You can do it. You can sit down and write for 10 minutes. Just start the timer on your phone. And you know what? Here's the deal. Once you hit that timer, you just stare at your paper. Write down anything that comes to your mind. It can be the joy or it can be something else. But you do it, and I guarantee you, once you start, you're going to be go, 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 and that 10-minute timer is going to ding, 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 and you're still going to be going. I bet it is. I bet it will be that way. And lastly, if you're looking for more support and joy in your writing life, go ahead and sign up for the email newsletter. We're going to do a 5-part series, which we just started today, and it's going to be 5 days to embrace your writing joy. This email tutorial is totally free. I'm not charging you nothing. And it is packed with inspiration to help you fall back in love with writing again. All right? So there you are, folks. That's the end of this tutorial. Thank you for watching. And remember, your words matter and you matter. And as always, folks, if you liked this video, please like and subscribe. Every subscriber helps the channel. Every like helps the channel. All right, keep writing with joy, and I will see you with another tutorial soon. Have a great day, folks.